Hello everybody. In today's video we will be working on the Pentax K-1000. This camera is a customer's camera, and the request was to address several problems, and I'll go ahead and briefly describe them to you, and then we'll go ahead and commence the repair and an overhaul of the camera. So one of the problems is visually obviously visible from here. Is this winding lever is missing a plastic cap. Okay, so it's a little bit difficult for him to operate it, and sometimes it slips. So we do have a replacement plastic cap, and we'll either replace the entire winding lever or just put the cap on top. Another issue is an obvious horizontal line across the viewfinder, across the prism actually, and that relates directly to the deterioration of the prism. So we'll address that by simply removing the prism and putting a replacement prism on. And the third issue is that the rewind knob is really floppy. Okay, if you look at it here, it's really, there's really no tension to it, and you see how it flies in and out without any robusticity to it. So I'll show you what we need to do with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start working on it. I haven't done anything with the camera, so as we go along, I'll have to make adjustments and calibrations to the process. All right, so the first things first, let's go ahead and remove the bottom cover. Three screws here. Okay, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna lubricate all the necessary points related to winding mechanism to smooth out the winding process and improve it. This camera is heavily mechanized. Okay, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of gears, and majority of these gears are metal gears, and it does require an unusual amount of oil compared to other cameras, which are, some are more combination of plastic, some are metal and plastic, some are just plastic gears. This is pretty much I'd say 99% of all the gears, except for these two, because this is a newer model of the camera, is all metal. And this metal basically does require lubrication every few years, depending obviously on the use of the camera. All right, that much improved the winding. I'm gonna go ahead and straighten out my stopper lever here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my shutter speeds and the runtime and see if it needs any adjustment. Yep, it did require a little bit of a tighten up of the first curtain, but now everything looks to be good. I'll go ahead and remove some excess oil from the plate here. Okay. Also notice that the light meter is a little bit off, so I'll have to adjust that as well once we have the top cover off. So it will require, pretty much this camera will require quite a bit of work for it to be a good functional unit. Okay, so I'll leave it on this setting because I'll check my light meter based on that setting. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what we're gonna do about this rewind knob. So let's go ahead and remove it and put this away for a second. So what happens is, you see, it's floppy. Okay, it should be pretty much tight. Due to the time and overexertion, so to speak, of this rewind knob, the spring pretty much became loose. So what we have to do is tighten up these tabs a little bit, metal tabs, and that should solve our problem. For those who are experiencing the same issue, that's a quick remedy for you. All right, so these tabs, you see how they are angled inwards here towards me. That shouldn't be the case. That means that basically they're fatigued, okay, a little bit. So we're going to reverse that in the opposite direction. Okay, I'm also gonna change the degree a little bit of this point here to make it more inward, to tighten it to its maximum. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of this dust here. Now let's see what happens now. See how it nicely snaps back into the spot. Perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. All right, so we're going to put this rewind knob away and we'll continue with the disassembly. Three screws, 2 and 3, and now the shutter speed dial. Good. All right, should be able to take it out now. Yeah, it looks like probably has never been serviced. It's really tight in there. Okay, let me go ahead and make the necessary adjustments to the light meter and we'll continue next. right, so the light meter is good now. So before we get into the prism, I'd like to open the front panel and lubricate the shutter. Because since it's never been serviced, I think it's time for it to be properly lubricated. It was already adjusted. So we're going to remove the leatherette a little bit here. And by the way, I did replace light seals earlier. That way I don't have to waste any time on that and just get to the actual nitty-gritty of the overhaul and necessary repairs. So the seals are all good. We've got 5 screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all out. We're gonna gently put it over here. And now we're gonna start the necessary lubrication procedures. Okay, that should do it. Let's go ahead and put the front panel back. Okay, so now on to the prism. Now, if you look at this top cover, the inside of the top cover, you'll notice that this support here is rubberized. It's pure rubber. So this will not disintegrate like the seal that Pentax started using on the newer plastic case model. So this is still a metal case. Okay, so this is good. However, we still have this issue with deterioration of the prism. The question is why? Well, the answer is really simple, because if it's not one thing with Pentax, it's something else. They are using the seal, okay, deteriorated seal or deteriorating style seal on the front of the prism cavity and the back. Okay, so what happens is that horizontal stripe of the seal deteriorates and it's into the silvering of the prism. Therefore, it creates pretty much just a horizontal line across. Okay, right here. And that's basically it's the same thing as having this entire spider web of the silvering on the newer models. So the only remedy is basically remove it and replace it, and that's what we'll do next. I don't know if anybody or anyone that you guys know that still works on resilvering those prisms. That would be nice to know, but the only remedy is just, in my experience, is just to replace it. Okay, we've got that, and I'll go ahead and show this to you. So you see how this reddish seal basically ate right into it, and if you look inside, go ahead and lift it up. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a distinct line due to the fact that this section here is basically completely desilvered. All right, so this is another example of this nasty gooey seal that they're using, and I don't know why, but that's just what it is. I'll go ahead and remove it for now, and this is the seal that's still on the body of the cavity. I'll go ahead and remove it. Yeah, now I don't need the battery, so I'll go ahead and remove the battery as well, since the light meter is already calibrated. So I'm gonna carefully remove the old seal. Then I'll go ahead and clean it so there's no residue left from the old seal. Okay, looks to be nice and clean, so I'm gonna go ahead and blow it off. And now the replacement prism. Go ahead and clean it next. All right, let's go ahead and measure it up. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna start the reassembly process. Okay, now we're gonna put a winding lever. If you remember, the one that we had before didn't have the plastic sleeve. This one does. So let's go ahead and actually, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this dust and dirt around it. It'll be easier for us to do a final cleaning. Now you can see how nicely it snaps. This lever snaps back into the rewind knob. Now we're gonna go ahead and put the film cover back in its spot. Now onto the shutter speed dial. Position it on a higher speed. That's a little tricky because you have to line up this tab here with an insert as well as the gear. So it doesn't always happen from the first try. Sometimes finagle it. Let's see where we are. There we go. off here. There we go. I think we've got it now. Let's see. Okay, got it. Yeah, it's probably the trickiest part, putting back this dial. You gotta be really patient, and you really need to see and know how to align it. So unless you're willing to take a chance, it's gonna be a difficult endeavor putting this back. All right. So the last thing we're gonna do next is clean the outside of the body, and it should be good to go. All right, looks clean here. So we'll put back the flash thing cap and the battery cap. And this should do it for us. Thank you for watching.